Yo, what's going on guys, it's Russ. In this video I actually want to go over an action skill only Amara build. If you watched my last video, I talked about how you can make all her action skills do a lot of damage, and in this video I want to look further into that and actually make a whole build around it. And I also want to say really quick, shout out to the two homies in my Discord, Satora and Chick Nuggets, for pointing out the Guardian Angel interaction. I actually did not know that this increases pretty much every single bit of your damage, so this is also going to increase your damage on top of everything I was talking about in that last video. And you know, speaking of Discord, I post all my builds there. We have a growing community, so yeah, if you want to join that, link's in the description. But anyway, yeah, this build is actually kind of crazy, and I actually think you guys are going to love it. So if you do enjoy, consider subscribing. I'm on the road to 10,000 subs, and I'd love to have you on this journey. I truly appreciate it. So starting off with the Guardian Angel, like I was saying, this is going to increase your damage by how far away you are from an enemy. This is going to increase your action skill damage, and if you have something like a URAD anointing on it, it's going to increase it even further because URAD also applies to action skills. So if you're running an action skill focused build, the best weapon you can have is a Guardian Angel with URAD or a 390 anoint. Either will work fine. I personally just prefer the URAD anoint. So this thing is just gonna increase your damage by an insane amount. It's allowing you to one-shot bosses like you've already seen in the clips, and since you're one-shotting bosses, you're obviously going to be one-shotting pretty much any single ad in the entire game. This weapon is very fun, and it doesn't do a lot on its own, but like I was saying, this is a build focused solely around doing action skill damage, so you shouldn't expect anything from your guns. And the next weapon is a face puncher, but I'm gonna get back to that in 1 second. These two right here, Eruption and Execute, these are just simply debuff weapons. If this weapon overheats, it's going to shoot out little tracking darts that debuff an enemy, and at this one, if your gun is completely empty, so you get to 0 magazine and reload it, it'll apply a debuff on the enemy as well. This can just help out with killing bigger enemies if you need them, but half the time you won't even need them. Now for the shield, Revolter, obviously Revolter is insane. With the anoint on action skill start, any effect that triggers on shield breaker fill is just absurd with this. This is also going to increase your action skill damage even further. So this paired with URAD and a Guardian Angel, it's just disgusting the amount of damage you can get out of this thing. Plus, it does also buff the fire rate of your weapons, so if you ever need to use a weapon to kill somebody, the face puncher is good since it does have a URAD anoint on it, but trust me, you won't ever really have to use this if you're actually playing around the action skill focus of this build. Now, the fish slap, I will get back to this as well, but as you do see, we have an anoint on grenade throw. You get more weapon damage, action skill damage, and grenade damage, which is really good, obviously, for an action skill based build, but I'll get more to this later. Then, for an action skill based build, running something like the Phase Zerker is going to be really good because you're going to get max rush stacks when you cast your action skill, and you're obviously going to run things like do harm to increase your action skill damage further. This is giving you more action skill damage, cooldown rate, and magazine size. Pretty good stats for this. Then Snowdrift Deathless, so the Deathless can proc URAD up here, and Snowdrift is good for survivability. Since you're not going to have too much with this build, you can slide around the map fast and dodge a lot of the incoming damage. This is giving you area effect damage, melee damage, and action skill cooldown rate. The stats on this doesn't matter too much, but if you can get cooldown rate, obviously that's probably the best since you really are focusing on the action skill part of this build. As you see, I do have a stone class mod over here, which I know is probably shocking to a lot of people because no one ever runs this, but the way you can actually one-shot bosses very consistently is when you get max rush stacks with the Phase Zerker, equip the stone class mod, and you're going to buff your do harm by a lot more. Now that one also has +2 in awakening right here, so it's also going to buff the rush stack effectiveness, so again that'll just buff do harm. So as you see, we have 5.9% do harm damage right now, but if we equip this, we're going to go up to 9.4% with the awakening getting increased as well, so we have 9.4% damage per rush stack. So a strategy you can do is equip something like, you know, Phase Grasp right here and Fake Grasp essentially to get max rush stacks. You're going to easily get them if you have the Phase Zerker equipped, so you get to 99. I'm not going to go all the way to 99, but you understand. So you get to 99 and you can equip whatever action skill you're using again, which I normally run Reverberation, and then you can equip this. So now all the stacks you just got are now going to be increased by 9.4% instead of 5.9%. So you get a ton of extra damage just by switching that class mod. So if you ever go into a boss fight, if you do that, swap them out, you're going to be able to one-shot that boss pretty much 100% of the time. Now, since I've already showed the skill trees, I'm going to talk more about the face puncher and the fish slap. I'm going to go over to Brawl right here with jab cross. So whenever you do melee damage, you're going to get more gun damage and action skill damage. So both of these are really good because obviously the face puncher is a shotgun that shoots out melee damage essentially. So this will proc jab cross, which makes your axe skill do even more damage on top of everything else. And the fish slap also is a grenade that does melee damage. So if you throw this grenade and hit an enemy, it also is going to proc jab cross, which is giving you 75% more axe skill damage. And this anoint on here is actually giving you 25% more axe skill damage when you throw your grenade. So as you see, the combination of jab cross with these two is going to be super easy to keep it up, and you're just always going to be getting 75% more axe skill damage. Getting deep into the skills, obviously Mystical Assault is going to be the main thing if you're going for an axe skill based build. We already went over to harm, 5 points in that. I have 5 points of Violent Tapestry. Again, if you want to put these somewhere else on something like Transcendent, carry some face cast weapons, you can. I was just really sticking to the theme of this build, and we're really focusing on axe skill alone, but obviously you can move some points around and have a lot better gun damage based build if you want to. But 5 points of Violent Tapestry to get our elemental effect chance up, 2 points in fast hands so we can swap weapons faster, which will be nice because if we're swapping to the face puncher to proc jab cross, it is nice to, you know, swap it back to the Guardian Angel to do more damage. 5 points of Restless to get more cooldown rate, 1 point in Ascendant so you can buff whatever axe skill augment you're using. I'm running Soul Sap even though it's literally doing nothing for me, but it doesn't reduce my axe skill damage like the other ones because I'm trying to get as much axe skill damage as possible. So that is why I'm running that, and I don't have access to Expedite, so I just have that equipped, and I just got to get down to the bottom. If you want to move this point somewhere else on something like Fast Hands, or if you want to keep it and run something like Revelation, you can as well. They do reduce your damage, but it's not by an insane amount, and the amount of damage you're going to get, you probably won't even notice that reduced damage. But 3 points in Lay Bare, so whenever Axel hits an enemy, we do 25% more damage to them. So if somehow they manage to not die, you will for sure kill them with the second phase cast. Then 3 points in Awakening, so again we can buff all our rush to act effectiveness. 1 point in Remnant, since our Axel is going to be doing the same amount of damage, this Remnant Orb is just going to hit damage cap at some points and just immediately kill any enemy that it hits. Then 1 point Avatar, so we can obviously cast our Axel twice, and we get 10 bonus rush attacks, which is nice. Now, getting into Brawl, we have 3 points personal space. Again, I just need to get down to the bottom, so I have 3 points in here, 1 point Root to Raz, and 1 point Clarity. These aren't really doing anything for us. I guess personal space can technically do a little bit, but not like anything insane. 5 points in Helping Hands. This will be a survivability aspect of the build. Whenever we use our axe skill, we get 40% damage reduction. We'll be using our axe skill all the time to do damage, so this will be nice with damage reduction on top of us sliding around fast. 2 points in arms deal, so we get a little bit more splash damage and splash damage reduction. Again, just a little bit more survivability. 3 points in Mindfulness, so whenever we take damage, we get more movement speed and short regeneration delay. Again, more movement speed will help out with survivability of this build, which is nice since we don't have that much. Then 5 points One with Nature, so we get more max health, but the main thing is that element of damage reduction. Whatever axe element we have equipped, we're gonna take 40% reduced damage from that element, which is really, really good. So if we're running the Shock axe element, we just take 40% reduced damage from Shock, which pairs really well with our Revolter, which gives us 20% resistance. And obviously Shock on shields is what takes it down the most, so if you can resist a lot of that damage, you won't die as often. Then we already went over Jab Cross, but since we're already down here, I put 1 point Do Unto Others, which will give you another little orb that goes out and does a little bit of damage, but then 1 point Guardian Angel for a survivability aspect of this build, so whenever we do go down, we can get right back up with 50% of our max health. This has a cooldown of 120 seconds, but if you play around this correctly, you will absolutely never die because you could just always get back up every 120 seconds, which is really, really cool. Then in the final skill tree, I have 5 points of Anima. Since we do have status effect bonuses right here with Violent Tapestry, we can do a lot of damage with our status effect, which is nice. Then 5 points of Tempest, so we can buff all our elemental damage, which is also really, really good because it's buffing every aspect of this build as well. So that is it on pretty much how this build works. You are simply taking the Guardian Angel and pairing it with something like the Revolter and a Urad Anoint, and you're just going to get dumb damage numbers out of your phase cast. Like I was saying, Reverberation, in my opinion, is probably the best phase cast. I have heard good things about Tendafa right here, but Reverberation is what I like the most because if your phase cast goes through an enemy, it gets 50% more damage per enemy hit, and it's really easy to hit multiple enemies with phase cast, so you're always going to kill these enemies every single time they go through. But then with these weapons right here, like I was saying, you can apply debuffs, but you don't really ever need to. Then with the Fish Slap and Face Puncher, they can proc Jab Cross really, really easily. Phase Arcus to get your rush stacks up. The Stone is for boss fights if you need to swap, do a little bit of extra damage. Then obviously the Snurge of Deathless is for survivability and to proc Urad Anoints. But again, that's pretty much it for the build. I really hope you guys enjoy this. Like I was saying earlier, it is in my Discord channel if you would like to download it. The link to the Discord is in the description. It's going to be located under the Save Files tab. Or if you just want to get any of this gear, you can download that as well. But that's what it all for me. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.